Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro, friends. Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Elixir Specialty Coffee. Go to elixirspecialtycoffee.com and enter code IMAPITFORWARD to get 10% off your first purchase. Looks like whiskey, feels like tea, made from coffee, and unlike anything you've ever tasted before. Today on the Daily Coffee Pro, we're going to get a little bit mental health-ish today. I want to talk to you about the power of laughing and the role that it plays in your coffee career and your coffee business. When this version of the Map It Forward podcast happened, which is the Daily Coffee Pro, it came after a pretty dark time in my life. I was feeling overwhelmed. I was feeling depressed. I was feeling a lot of the uncomfortable feelings that building a life that is filled with authenticity, integrity, and all the other things that I want to be able to experience about myself, owning 2 brands, all of it was getting very overwhelming for me. And I was feeling like a failure. On top of that, I was paying a lot of attention to what was going on in the world, and it was weighing big time on me. And I was also noticing that what was going on in the world was weighing on everybody else as well. I remember in the very early episodes of the Daily Coffee Pro, I was talking about the fact that so many people were contacting me and telling me that they were thinking about suicide. And I don't know what it was about the beginning of this year, but it was just a really rough time for everybody. And I was at one of the lowest lows of my life, and I knew that I had to take control of my own mental health. This had happened to me twice before in my life. That's probably being optimistic, probably a couple more times than twice. But that's the great thing about it having happened before, is that every time you learn the skills that got you out of it last time. And I knew for me, I was going to have to be very deliberate to pull myself out of that. And the result is now 6 months later that I'm experiencing a very different life from a mental health perspective than I have ever experienced in my life. And life currencies play an important role in this too. I made 2 very important things a priority in my life starting the beginning of this year. It was in the first 3 months that it got really intense. And then about March was when I decided to make 2 things the priority. The first one I've spoken a lot about on the podcast, which is gratitude. And I take a gratitude walk every single day. I start my day with being grateful to myself for 3 things that currently exist in my life that I'm grateful for creating and choosing. And then I end the day, shit makes me emotional to talk about, so I apologize if you can hear that in my voice. But I end the day with 3 things that I'm grateful that I did to conspire to my own success today. And then my gratitude walk, I walk for 45 minutes and I spend around 15 minutes of that whispering out loud to myself the account of everything that exists in my life at that moment that I'm grateful for. Some of them are huge things. Some of them are the little wins I've got in business. Some of them are the challenges that are ahead of me, and I'm grateful for the lessons that those challenges are going to teach me. Sometimes I'm grateful for the coffee that I've experienced that day, or the tea that I've been drinking, or my health, or any of those things. They're things that I personally am grateful for. I'm one of those morons in my neighborhood that walks around smelling flowers every time I see them. And a lot of the time, that's something that I'm grateful for, because I'm, part of my career is to have sensory experiences, and I'm delighted by natural sensory experiences. So when I smell a flower, I can say to myself, this is what a natural sensory experience that wasn't manufactured or created by anything feels like. And to me, that's something overwhelmingly that I'm overwhelmingly grateful for. Doing that got me really focused on how much cool shit there is in my life. But the other very deliberate thing I haven't talked about a lot on the podcast is making the time to laugh. And this one taught me way, way more about myself than I realized. I had no idea how little I laughed in my life until I started forcing myself to watch comedy every single day. And I was on the phone with a friend the other day and we were laughing uncontrollably. And he said to me, I haven't heard you laugh like this in decades. And I'm like, wow, that really hit me. I hadn't realized how serious I'd become in my quest to deep dive into the businesses that I'm building, etc., etc. And I've come to realize that by not making space in my life for anything other than the serious stuff is what got me into the mental health issues that I was experiencing. So now every single day I make time to watch an hour's worth of comedy and laugh my tits off for a whole hour every day. Just like I make time to eat, just like I make time to sleep and to shower and to, go on gratitude walks and to do all those kinds of things. This is now a ritual in my life. And the reason I'm sharing this information with you is because I know there are so many people out there that are feeling the weight of the world and the weight of business and the weight of their career and the weight of all of the shit that's going on in their life. And no amount of positivity is going to nullify all of the weight that you're feeling. And that's a lot of the reason why I don't believe in rah-rah positivity. What I think gratitude and laughter does for you is it creates space in your mind for balance. And so while none of the stuff that's weighing down on you disappears, having balance gives you, I think, more direct access to solutions. It definitely has for me, and it's helped me lighten my heart. It's helped me lighten my mind. It's helped me realize that I'm far more okay than I thought I was. And I hear more and more stories from people every day that DM me or email me and tell me, how difficult their situations are. I want you to know I hear you. I hear you more than you realize. I relate to you more than you realize. And I want you to know that you've got this. I want you to know that life is hard as fuck. And I feel like it took me longer than most to realize that. And if you didn't know that, just know that it's okay that you feel the weight of what's going on. But I promise you, you're going to make it. If you're listening to this podcast, you're not the kind of person who just doesn't give any fucks about doing the hard work. And I'm confident that you're somebody who is going to grab the bull by the horns and figure this shit out. So why shouldn't you laugh while you're doing it? Why shouldn't you be grateful to yourself while you're doing it? It just makes life much more enjoyable when you can sprinkle some silly into it. And I didn't know the value of that before. I didn't know the value of that 6 months ago. Or I guess I'd forgotten it. And so just a couple of great comedians that I laugh with every day. Obviously, Joe Rogan. You all know how big a fan I am of Joe's. The Machine, Bert Kreischer. Wanda Sykes is fucking hilarious. Another hilarious female is Miss Pat, Christina Pajitsky, Tom Segura, although he's racist. He hates people from Louisiana. You'll understand what that means if you've seen his comedy special. Joey Diaz. You know, these are all people who I carve out time in my day for to laugh and to bring joy to my life. These are kind of comedians that you might not laugh at, but there's a comedian for everyone. There's a group of comedians and a type of funny for everybody. So go find who yours is. And even if you just start with like a one bit at a time, 2-minute videos where they're just making one bit. But I promise you, if you want somewhere hilarious to start, go and watch Bert Kreischer's story about the machine. And it will make you pee your pants laughing. On that note, peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Have an amazing rest of your day. Smile, laugh, be happy, and be grateful.